What up gamers, I'm Jason, and today on Dice & Dragons, I'm going to be reviewing Planet of the Apes. This is a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players designed by Richard Launius and published by IDW Games. Now for those of you who may be wondering where my partner in crime is, well, hopefully by now we have released our channel update that will just let you know what's going on with Dice & Dragons. Once it is available, you will see a card popping up that will take you to it. Now that being said, let's talk a little bit more about this game. So the game does play within 90 to 120 minutes. As I was playing the game solo, I did find that it played significantly faster. I got to play in around 60 minutes. So I do think that that's really going to depend on the player count. If you've got 1, 2 players, probably about an hour, 3 to 4, depending on how you're working on your strategy, things like that, it could take 2 hours. Now, what are you doing in Planet of the Apes? Well, this is a bit of a push your luck dice game. You're going to be rolling dice, attempting to complete encounters that are based on, well, scenes from the movie. Obviously, this is a licensed game. You also have a couple of breaks, such as the first scene, the third scene, and the fifth scene, where you kind of get to rest up, reset, restock some of your resources as you move through the story of Planet of the Apes all the way till the end where you find the Statue of Liberty. Now, what you need to do is complete all of the chapters. So there's a total of 8 chapters before the Statue of Liberty hits 0 on the fate track. And during the individual scenes, you need to complete them before the ape tracker moves down the fate track to 0. Now, each player takes on an aspect of Commander Taylor, and you've got different abilities. So that being said, let's take a look at what's in the box. If we go over to the components, and then I'll come back at you with a how to play, and finally, my review. So keep it right here, because now it's time to grab my drink. We're so used to saying grab our drinks, but it's grab my drink. I'll grab some dice. Well, the dice are in the box, and then I'm going to take it to the table. Now let's take a look at the components for Planet of the Apes by IDW Games. Now we'll start with the rulebook that I'll bring on camera. So I do like the art for the rulebook. It definitely gives you the feel of that 1968 film. Overall, the layout is good. We got some nice big graphics, well typeset, and you've got a clear explanation as to what you're going to be doing. Now, the only thing that I found a little bit convoluted in terms of the fact that it wasn't well explained is just what happens after you resolve an encounter, especially if you then move on to the following scene. It isn't quite detailed here. Now, on the back, you do have some other rules for solo games, easier games, harder games, and a nice glossary of symbols. Now, we'll start with the character cards that we have over here. So there are 4 different aspects of Commander Taylor, and each player will control one aspect or multiple aspects, depending on how many characters you would like to include. Now, the Clever Taylor, his special ability is you have 1 extra reroll of a die, which is good, and then you may spend a skill token to modify the value of a dice. The Commander Taylor, he has 4 actions. You may spend a skill token to trade to pass any number of cards between you and another player. The Cynical Taylor means that when you move Taylor on the fate track, you do get to ignore any of the negative aspects of the space. And then you may spend 1 skill token to take a look at the top card of the Planet of the Apes deck and reorganize that deck. The Defiant Taylor means that when you're trading in cards, so your action cards for a specific action, you need 1 fewer matching card. Then you may spend 1 skill token to prevent any negative consequences from an encounter. Now we'll take a look at what we have for the encounter cards here. So we have the Sinking Ship, which is gray. You'll notice it's a standard encounter. This gives you everything that you need to set up the game, well, to finalize the setup of the game. Next, we've got the Forbidden Zone. So you'll see you get the instructions how to set up this major scene. Afterwards, you're going to be drawing the encounters, but here you'll see the end of scene instructions, whether the ape gets there first or the humans. Then you can see we've got all of these different encounters. Now we'll take a look at the encounter cards as we'll go through this, I just want to show you what we have. So you get this, the swim, another minor scene, and as you can see right here, you're going to have to move the Statue of Liberty forward, which is not a good thing, but progresses the story. You do get a little bit of a respite, and then you can also do some stuff to gain some more special cards and make your character stronger. Then we end up with the hunt, where the humans were captured and brought to Ape City, and the smart guys were killed, all except for Commander Taylor. Then you get the minor scene cage, sort of another respite and pause between the other scenes. Then you go to escape from Ape City, followed by the dig site. And then lastly, you end with the final scene, the discovery. Now, discovery is different as there are 3 scenes, and as long as a character survives, you will then win the game. We also have this nice reference card that details the different actions you can take, what are free actions, and then as well as a breakdown of all of the game phases. Now, before I put them down, we'll take a look at some of the encounters, or an encounter card. They all look the same. So this tells you the amount of dice you can roll. These tells you the action cards that you can play. Now, if there's a max symbol here, you can't go above that maximum number of dice. The amount of rerolls you have, what you're trying to roll, the positive effects if you win, the penalty, and then the sunrise effect, which leads us into the token. So we'll take a look at that. But you can just see some of the other cards of it as well. So Flaming Sky, 5 dice, 3 different suits, 2 rerolls, what you get for rewards. You'll see ones that also include gray dice as well. So we've now taken a look at some of the cards. We'll just move quickly down to the tokens, and I'll just show you this one, the Sunrise token, which tracks the day cycle. And when you hit sunrise, you will see Planet of the Apes cards, and those sunrise effects will trigger. This is a skill token. This represents a wound. And then we have the active player token. Now, take a quick look at the action cards. They're all mixed in. So as you can see, they have their own suit. Dr. Zaius, Nova, Dodge and Landon, Cornelius and Zyra, the Gorilla, and of course, Commander Taylor. Now, this tells you what you gain as a resource. So you can gain a gray die, a white die, a reroll of a dice. You might have some cards that will give you either or options. You may even gain a red die. And if you are attempting an encounter that lets you play the suit, well, you can then play that action card. Now, we just have the different standees. Now, this is to track what scene you are, your capsule. This is to go on the fate track to track your position as you progress through each scene. The ape, which is tracking your enemy's progress, and then the Statue of Liberty, which tracks you to the end of the game. You get a base for the standees, but for some reason, and I'm not complaining, when we ordered the game, it did come with these 4 miniatures. So here we've got a Commander Taylor mini. For whatever reason, though, they're all a little bent and at an angle. We've got our ape miniature here. We then have the Statue of Liberty, as well as our spaceship capsule. Now, one thing I do like about the minis is that they are smaller. Here you can see the dice that you get, 6 white dice, 6 gray dice, and 4 red die. Now, one thing I didn't mention, some encounters will require a specific amount of white and gray die. In that case, you can't use red die. If it requires a specific amount of white dice, you can't use the gray dice. Now, let's take a quick look at the game board. Now, this is one thing that I do talk about, or will talk about in my review, is how I dislike this board because, as you can see, it's and I'm knocking stuff over, but it's a long board. So we'll just slide it from the bottom all the way up, and I'm twisting it, but it's a very long board. You can see what we get for Planet of the Apes. So I'm just going to fold this back up, pick the minis back up, and put them in place. But I have to say I much rather would have seen something that was horizontal instead of long. It means you're reaching up a lot, which I don't really like. So that being said, keep it right here, and I'll come back at you with our setup. Then it'll be followed by our how to play. Now let's teach you how to set up Planet of the Apes. So instead of setting this up vertically, I set it up horizontally. Just gives me a little bit more room. And to give myself a nice space over here to place the characters, I've gone ahead and placed the dice and the tokens just on the game board. Now, first things first, we'll take a look at the small decks of cards. So we will place the Planet of the Apes deck where it's marked. We need to shuffle up the action card deck. We place this at the top. We need to reveal the first 2 action cards. Now we'll set up the minor and major scenes. So we just place them where they go on the board. We're then also going to place our characters in the order we want to play them. I like starting with the Commander Taylor as the main character, or the Clever Taylor there, followed by Cynical Taylor and the Defiant Taylor. We must set the token here for Sunrise. We've got our active player token, so just place that on whatever player is going to be the starting one. And we'll then need the special card deck, which needs to be shuffled and placed over here. Now, each character starts with 2 skill tokens. So actually, we'll place them here for now. I think that will work. Maybe just need to make a little more room for the encounter card discard. And then each player will also start with a special card. So sorry that it's going to be, well, for right now, I can play them face up. I'll just cover the skill token so you can see we're now ready to go. We then take the ship, either the standee or the mini, we place that at the scene that we're at. So we start, of course, every time with the sinking ship. And we are now set up and ready to start playing the game. What I'm going to do, however, is we're going to resolve the sinking ship, this first scene, because it really is more part of the setup than anything else. So what you then need to also, before I forget, you will set the Statue of Liberty at track 13. Don't worry, you'll see where the Ape and Taylor go in just a moment. So it's a minor scene. Each character chooses to draw 1 to 5 action cards. They roll a die for each card, and then every time they roll an odd, well, they will take 1 damage. You will notice that you cannot take 5 damage, which would kill your character. The max you can take is 4, but if you do take 5, you will advance the Statue of Liberty by 1 space. So that's what you're doing with the sinking ship, and we do have some nice flavor text there as well. So for them, I'm just going to put this back down, and what I'm going to do is, just to keep things moving, I'm not going to roll 4 times. I'll roll, we'll see what my roll is, but let's roll 5 dice, see what we get. So in this case, I rolled all evens, which is perfect. So we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. Now, I do also have the choice, and I'm actually going to do it. I will take the active Commander Taylor card as one of the action cards. What I would then do is I would then flip over another card in its place, so I can actually see what I'm going to get each time if I so wanted to. And then I could just make a choice. That can take a while. So just to keep things moving, I took 5 cards. So I'll place that right there. These are one of them could have been placed in the top spot. Doesn't really matter for what I'm doing right now, but just remember, whenever you draw a card from there, always replace it with a card from the top of the deck. So that was my roll for the Commander Taylor. We'll roll quickly for the Clever Taylor. So he actually only rolled 1 odd, which will take 1 damage. And we're just going to take the top 5 cards from the deck. So I think I actually have an extra one here. I do. So this makes up his hand. Well, we're going to go do the same thing here. So I'll just draw 5 cards. And I'll just draw 5 cards. Now you may be wondering why I'm not picking the gorilla cards. Well, I do know for a fact that at the start of the game, not as many options to play the gorilla suit. So I've taken all the cards. Now I still need to do the rolls for Cynical and the Defiant Tailor. So at this point we've got, 4 damage on the Cynical Tailor. Luckily we don't have to move anything. Don't worry, there are ways to heal all that, so we'll cover that as we get into the game. Even some encounters that will let us heal. And now I'm gonna roll one last time. And this is not so bad, this is only 3 damage, but we're getting a nice amount of cards to start the game. So there you have it. That's how you really set up the game. Now, I'm just gonna move this stuff over here for the moment. And before we jump on to scene 2, as it says, once we have completed this scene, we move our marker over to scene 2. You can also just put it adjacent, something like that. But when you get to scene 2, you will see the instructions how to set up for this major scene. So we place the ape at the 7 spot, and we place Commander Taylor on spot 13. We then knock this over. We then deal out, just place it right there like that. We deal out the active scene, and then 3 encounters, so times 3. So we flip over these top 3 encounters, and we've got our active encounters. And we're now ready to go ahead and start playing Planet of the Apes. So keep right here, as I'll be right back with the how to play. Now let's teach you how to play Planet of the Apes. So we've gone over how to set up the game. We'll take a look at the reference card. So just a reminder, we have the start of scene phase, which we did as part of the setup. So we did the sinking ship setup. So just for those of you that may have skipped ahead, you follow the instructions on the card, as you can see, to set up the game. Next, we then move, and this is a minor scene, we move on to the major scene where we reveal the Forbidden Zone. We have the instructions of how to set up. What will happen if we lose and the ape hits the 0 space before Taylor, and then what happens if Taylor hits it before the ape. We draw 3 active encounter cards, and then it's time for us to start the game. So the Commander Taylor is the active character. So our step 1, we can perform 3 actions. After that, we need to check the end of scene or game loss effects. So basically, if we end up at that point, or if Commander Taylor ends up here, we got to check those effects. We advance the day track by 1. Then we pass the active character token to the next character. And then if we go around the sunrise, we will reveal the top card from the Planet of the Apes deck and resolve any sunrise effects on the cards. After that, if we have completed the scene, then we follow the instructions on the end of scene phase. Now the actions we can do, so we may spend an action to draw a character card. We can reset the action cards by discarding what's there, drawing from the top of the deck. We may contemplate, which would give one of our cards. Now I just put them aside. So you cannot give special cards, but you can give one of your action cards to another character. Next, what we're able to do is adventure. So I did that out of order, but it doesn't really matter. Try to resolve one of these active encounters. We can do minor healing by discarding 2 of the same suit. Major healing by discarding 4 of the same suit. So major healing is 3, minor healing is 1. Now we may discard a combination of ally cards, which are Nova, Zyra, and Cornelius, to move the ape back a space. Then we have free actions. So you may place 3 matching action cards. So it can be any suit to gain a red die. You can learn by playing 3 matching action cards to gain a skill token, or adapt by playing 4 matching action cards to gain a special card. Now I'm just going to keep this off camera, but we're going to be following the references. So as the Commander Taylor is our leader, we'll take a look at his deck. Now, what we'll need to do is, and I had been just messing around with a few things, so I'm going to put things back the way they were. As for those of you that watch the setup, we had 4 damage on the Cynical Taylor and 3 damage on the Defiant Taylor. Now I will spend this special card, and what I'm going to do is heal 3 wounds. And as it states on the card, I can heal them as I wish. Now, we want to get rid of any cards with sunrise effects. Now here we can use Tailor and Dodge and Landing cards, and we got 2 of those, so we're not in a bad spot. As we get 4 actions with the Commander Tailor, we're going to start by drawing some cards. We want some better opportunities. So the top 2 cards, which gives us the Gorilla and Dr. Zaius, unfortunately it's not really what we want in order to be able to complete this encounter, as we need 4 of a kind, 2 or higher. Just not great. Now, as you can take a look over here, we have a whole slew of Tailor cards in the Cynical Commander Tailor's deck. So you know what we're actually going to do? We're going to spend a skill token using this ability so that we can take cards as well as give cards. And we're just actually going to take 2 of the Commander Tailor cards. And as Dr. Zaius is another one that we can use, Nova, we're actually going to give the 2 Dr. Zaius cards to the Cynical Commander Tailor. Move that off camera. Now we've got some more dice to roll. We're in a little bit of a better position in order to be able to resolve this encounter. And at the end of our turn, we can't have more than 7 cards in our hand. If we do, we must discard back down to 7 cards. So the encounter that we're going to take on is the Avalanche. We get some flavor text. We get 4 dice. We may only play Tailor, Dodge, and Langdon cards. We get 3 rerolls. We need 4 of a kind, 2 or higher. If we succeed, we heal a wound, gain a special card and advance by 3. If we lose, we move the ape up by 2 and suffer 3 damage. So hopefully we're not going to lose. Now, I'm able to play any action cards that I have. So I'm going to play Dodge and Langdon to gain an extra white dice. And debating, well, you know what? As this is just a how to play and I'm not going to finish the entire game, I'm going to play both Tailor cards to get a gray and a red die as well. So I'm going to discard these off camera. So I get a total of 5 white dice, 1 red, and 1 gray. Now, note, it does not tell me a specific color, so I can use any dice to meet the conditions. So we're going to roll. We need 4 of a kind. So we're in a pretty good place with 3 2s. So we do have 3 rerolls. So here's the first reroll, and we got it right away. So we have now completed the Avalanche. So it moves into the encounter discard section. We will then advance Tailor by 3, which brings him to the 10th spot. And as we are not playing the character that can ignore the icons, which is the Cynical Commander Tailor, the ape will advance by 1. Which is what it says on the fate track. Now the other reward is we are able to heal a wound. So we've got 2 wounds on both of these characters. We'll heal 1 from the Cynical Commander Tailor. I'm just going to pick up my hand of cards. See what I've got. All right. So I still have 1 action. And we do get to draw a new special card, which is another day, which lets us change the Planet of the Apes card. Not too bad. Now we will reveal the next active and counter card. So we need 3 of a kind, 2s or higher. So not that difficult. Not sure if that's a challenge we want to undertake. We do have 1 more action. So at this point, we've got 2 gorillas, so we're going to try to go ahead and complete another encounter. Sunrise effects are fairly bad. So with this one, we have 5 dice totaling up to 26 or higher. We can use the gorilla, Dr. Zaius, and Nova. We get 2 rerolls. So we're actually going to spend both gorillas. We're going to get a gray and a red dice. So we'll place the die back where they live on the board, but I do believe we get 5. So we'll just place the 1. We got a gray and a red dice, so we need a total of 5 dice, 26 or higher. We get 2 rerolls. Now we're already well on our way with an 18. Let's make another roll. With the 6 and the 5, we completely beat it. So we now resolve our second encounter, where we will draw 3 action cards and then advance Commander Taylor 3 on the track. So because he advanced 3, 1, 2, 3, we have a choice. This is an or. And as we're gaining on the ape, I'm not too worried about him. We only have 1 sunrise effect right now. We're going to advance the ape 1 more space. We get to draw these 3 action cards. So they go back into our hand. I'm just trying to remember where I placed it. So currently, this is the hand for the Commander Taylor. He's taking his last action. We flip over the next Forbidden Zone card, and we now advance the day track. So we pass the token on to the clever Commander Taylor, and it is now his turn. Now don't forget, I did 4 actions because he has 4 actions. So for him, I have 1 extra reroll of 1 die every time I attempt an encounter. My cards are as follows. We've got the Gorilla, Nova, Dr. Zaius, Dodge and Landon, another Gorilla, and I can also get an extra 2 actions. So you know what? I'm going to spend this right now to make my actions a total of 5 actions. Let's take a look at what we want to do. Well, we want to get moving as fast as possible and get rid of any cards with sunrise effects. So we need a run of 5 dice. We can only use the Gorilla cards. So that's perfect. I'm going to draw these 2 Gorilla cards. Now, you could draw them 1 by 1. When you draw them, you got to replace what's there. So I'm going to spend the cards to get a red and a white die. The other ones I cannot use. So we are going to be attempting this one, which is a run of 5 dice in order. So 2 through 6, 1 through 5. We have a total of 6 white dice. So actually, as I have 6 white dice, I made a mistake. I would not play this Gorilla card. I can't get any extra white dice. I only have the extra red die. So roll the dice and see what we got. So we've got 1, 2. So we're actually in a great spot here, actually, because we got 1, 2, 3, 4. I can spend a skill token to lower a die by a value or raise 1, which brings me to my run of 5 right off the bat. And that works out well because I do gain back said skill token. Commander Taylor advances by 2. And we will discard this encounter card and reveal the next encounter card. So we're moving along nicely here, and I think after I finish his turn, you will have seen enough just about how to play the game. It doesn't really change with the other 2 characters. What I'll do is I'll skip ahead, we'll take a look at the swim, and then also a quick look at how you would resolve the discovery, as well as just what happens with the sunrise effect. So we'll see how this goes. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is what we've got for cards. Now remember, I had 5 actions. I've taken 3 of them. And we want to keep going, so we've got Gorilla and Dr. Zaius, which is a run of 6 dice in any order. A little more difficult, but I do have an extra gray die from Dr. Zaius, so I will spend that. And we'll just swap this red for the gray. And we're going to try to attempt this encounter. So I get 3 total rerolls. And we've got 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're off to a fairly good start here. Now don't forget I can spend my skill tokens. But I've got a few more opportunities to roll. I might regret that. But playing for the long game here, even though we're about to wrap up the how to play. So put this in correct order. So nothing great. So that is the first reroll. Second reroll. So now we're on to the third reroll. And we did not quite get it. But we are not out of steam yet, as we've got the Gorilla card, which lets us reroll a dice. And I actually have 2 of them. So let's see what we get So we'll spend the first one. I just did that off camera. We'll make the roll. What do you know? We got the 6, so we still succeeded. Now in this case, we do gain 1 skill token or a special card. Actually, I have 2 skill tokens, so I'm going to gain a special card. So keep moving so we get to play after you successfully complete an encounter, move the Taylor standee, and extra space on the fate track. So now it's not quite clear in the rulebook if I could play this right now, but I will say I gained it after I completed an encounter, so I'm going to play it right now. I'd say that play it however you feel makes the most sense. And we get to move Commander Taylor a total of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you know what? We've almost completed the first encounter of the Forbidden Zone. And I actually have 1 action left. So let's take a look, see what we've got here, because we drew 2 cards, completed 2 encounters. So here it's, take a look. We need either Taylor, Dodge and Landon. We're going to the Cynical Commander Taylor, who has some Taylor, has some Dodge and Landon. We'll take a Contemplate action and pass that Dodge and Landon card over to the Clever Taylor. Now, taking a look at what we had, and I do believe I ended up just taking a quick look through some cards. Apologies for the quick fade. I was looking for my Human Ingenuity card when we ran out of juice on the camera, because this is taking a little longer than I planned, but we're actually going to play through the entire Forbidden Zone because we're so close to completing it. So this was actually with the Cynical Commander Taylor, whose turn it is. But you notice that the card says play at any time to draw 4 action cards and distribute them as I wish. Now, I'm going to be selfish in this case, potentially, and just take them all. So we've got 1, 2, well, trying to complete a task that requires Taylor. So you know what? I'm going to take 1, 2. Reveal the next 2 cards. And I'll decide to take one from the top of the deck. So I got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I better spend cards because I got to discard down otherwise. Now, we don't need much, but we do want to potentially get some good rewards. Now, this would be a good one because 2 action cards, but I've got a ton of cards. So we'll go with this one right here, where I need 3 of a kind, 2s or higher. We can use Dodge and Landon and Taylor cards, but only 3 dice. Don't worry, we've got plenty of stuff. And as I'm just gonna, well, not fully wrap it up, but let's use quite a bit of stuff. So we're gonna use the gray and white dice. We will use, actually, you know what? I'm going to keep the gray die. I'm going to use the red Dodge and Landon die. So that gives me a total of 5 dice. And nothing great. We need 3 of a kind, so I could try to keep something. Don't like it. We've got 3 rerolls. I'm going to start again. So we got 2 5s. I now know exactly what direction I'm going in. So try it again. So I believe that's my second reroll. So it's the last reroll I have. And luckily enough, we're able to complete it. So the reward is just to move. So we get Taylor to the fate space. And, neglected to do it at the end of his turn. The Clever Taylor, we advance to the night phase. So we then resolve this. It's completely resolved. So everything goes back on the Forbidden Zone. We're going to reveal the swim, which means we have to advance the Liberty by 1. We may heal 2 damage, gain 1 skill token, or draw 2 action cards. Well, for these characters, they're going to choose to all heal damage. I'm just keeping it simple right now to resolve. Take a skill token. Now the group may advance the Statue of Liberty 1 space and distribute 2 special cards. We've been doing well. Might as well get 2 more special cards. So we get another Human Ingenuity and Survival training. So the cynical tailor will take that. This will go to the defiant tailor. Now, the end of scene means we start with the hunt. Now, we're still on his turn. Don't forget, we have 2 more actions. So we're going to flip over the hunt. Tailor now moves to 12, and the ape starts at 7. Reveal the active cards for the hunt. And it is still our turn. So let's take a look at what we have. We have a whole slew of tailor cards, Dodge and Landon card, and Dr. Zayas. So we've got still another 2 actions. So 5 white dice totaling 26 or higher. We've got a fairly good setup for that. We're going to spend an action to draw the gorilla because it's just an extra reroll in case we need it. We'll spend our last action resolving this encounter. We're going to spend the 2 tailor cards to get a gray and red dice. So we got the gray and red, plus a total of 5 white dice. Nope, sorry, wrong card. 5 white dice, 3 rerolls. Already off to a good start. We've got 12, 20. And there we have it. We got 26. Now we don't even need to use a survival training. So we do resolve this with our last action. So we move 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm just going to put that. I neglected to move it. It doesn't really matter. It's just a fun little thing that you can do. So after moving 3 spaces, we do take a damage because of where we landed. The Commander Tailor will take it. This goes into the discard pile. We reveal the next card. Now we go to Sunrise. So we must resolve these Sunrise effects. Now, what we resolve with Sunrise is we've got the symbol here to take a damage, and we must advance the ape by 1. I'm going to double check just the symbol. If you have any questions on the symbol, so sorry, it's each character gains 1 damage. Those are people. It kind of look like a claw. That's why I want to double check it. So every character takes damage. Just move these off camera. We now must reveal our first Planet of the Apes card. We've been doing fairly well here. So at this point, no order 1, each character suffers 2 damage or advance the ape and Statue of Liberty a combined total of 3 spaces. So you must immediately draw and resolve another Planet of the Apes card. Well, that sucks, but we have the Another Day special card, so we can just ignore this card and draw the next one. So Another Day, advance all 3 standees. Tailor Ape, Statue of Liberty 1 space. Move quickly. Do nothing or advance the Tailor standee 2 spaces and the Ape and Statue of Liberty 1 space. I don't think we want to move quickly. We'll just advance each token the 1 time down the track. Now we do end up here though, so we have to resolve this effect, which then advances the ape 1 more. So it is now the Defiant Tailor's turn, and we would continue. So we're going to just pretend we've completed all of these actions and we arrive at the end of the game. I'll put this back. So when we get to the discovery, we follow the instructions. If we fail it, we lose the game. So we draw 1 discovery card and we must meet the conditions on it. So this one is Home All Along. Each character gains 1 die plus 1 die for each skill token they have and each special card. Each character rolls all of their dice and then presents 1 die showing the highest result they rolled. For each presented die showing a 4 or less, advance the Statue of Liberty space. The Statue of Liberty standing 1 space. If it does not reach the 0 space of the fate track, the players win the game. So, for example, we'll have to just we'll just pretend in this scenario, we'll take Taylor and the ape off the board. We'll say the Statue of Liberty was at space 5, which is totally normal. So we need to take a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 dice. Then I'll look at the special cards. I've got 2 more, so that's going to be a total of 10 dice. We got True Grit as well, 11 dice. And that should be all of it. So we're going to roll 11 dice, and we'll see what we get. So we've got a total here of, you know what, easiest thing to do, put back the red, leave out 1, to do 5 and 11 dice, roll it, see what we get. So each one over 4, you have to advance. Now you can still use any of your abilities here, depending on what they are, but we got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, that's all of the dice, showing 4 or less. I thought it was 4 or higher, so 4 or less. Well, that's not great with everything that we have. So we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So at this point with 7 dice, so you really shouldn't end the game with that much resources, the Statue of Liberty would move to the end and you'd lose the game. There are other examples here where you have to roll a specific amount of dice, and depending on the damage that you get, you may or may not win the game. But at this point, you can see the maximum, if this has been what we've drawn, maximum damage is 3. Guaranteed 1 character would survive, so you don't even really need to roll. It really depends on how you're doing as you play the game. So there you have it. We've gone over how to play Planet of the Apes. Now keep it right here, as I'll be coming back at you with my review of the game. So Planet of the Apes by IDW Games, designed by Richard Launius. What did I think of the game? Well, first, I want to start talking about the components. So board quality was good. I had it left out for a couple of days, nothing warped. I really got to give IDW Games credit. Nice card stock for all the cards and good finish. So really, really high quality in terms of the board and the cards. Now we do get some standees that come with the game. This version did have a nice surprise. It did come with 4 miniatures, and the miniatures I found to just be okay. They're a nice replacement for the standees, but they're not necessary. If you just have the standees, you're going to be fine one way or the other. Now what you do in the game is you're going to be encountering different scenarios from Planet of the Apes, and you're going to be rolling dice trying to meet the requirements of said scenario in order to clear it. Now, if you fail to clear the scenario, you will suffer a penalty. There is also a tracker, a sunrise track. So once you go through a full day, you will have the Planet of the Apes cards that get flipped over, and you may get some negative effects. Now, I was just giving a brief explanation for those of you that may have skipped over the how to play. Also, it's just going to really sort of frame my review of the game. I gotta say, I found the game just to be okay. It feels a lot like some other games that we have. For example, Star Trek 5-Year Mission, which you'll find at the end of the video. I'll have a link pop up to it so you can go ahead and take a look at what we thought of 5-Year Mission. It also reminds me a lot of Elder Sign, and I think that really summarizes the problem that I have with this game is that I've played this game before. There are some slight differences, such as the action cards having a suit and only certain suits being eligible to be played for specific encounters. Also the fact that you can discard certain cards from different types of suits to either heal yourself or even push the ape back or the Statue of Liberty back on the Fate Tracker. That was definitely intriguing, but not different enough from what I've already played. I mentioned the Sunrise track, which is very, very reminiscent of the time that you have in Elder Sign, that clock, which will then trigger different mythos effects. And I found that the Sunrise track, as well as the Planet of the Apes cards, the ones that I at least experienced, didn't really give me any positive benefits. It was definitely always negative stuff, despite the fact that the rulebook states that you should get some positive benefits. So I found that a little disappointing. Also, the 2 playthroughs that I did, solo playthroughs, I found them to be very easy. I didn't find it to be overly challenging. Now, that's definitely going to depend on your luck, because this is definitely 100% a dice game. No matter what you do in terms of strategy and figuring things out, there are some cards that will let you mitigate bad rolls. If you can get bad rolls, you're just going to be suffering negative penalties. Now, I did play this with all 4 characters because that is the recommended amount. If you do play with a lower player count, you're going to lose access to certain abilities that can really sort of hinder your game. But with 4 players, it just really flowed very smoothly from start to finish. So that's really my main gripes with the game, is just how I already own it. And because I already own it, it's definitely not going to be staying in the collection. But it is also very thematic. And one of the things that I did love about the game is all the effort that IDW put in to capture Planet of the Apes and get it into a board game. So you're definitely playing through the story of the original 1968 film. The art is reminiscent of that film. It captures the characters. I mean, you can just look at the box art, which is absolutely beautiful in terms of what it's trying to do. Not that I have anything, for apes there, but I do like how the art reminds me of the Planet of the Apes movie poster. And I do think that the art for Commander Taylor, as well as some of the other astronauts, works very well. So that's really what I like about it. Also, the inclusion of a lot of flavor text to really bring you into the realm of the movie. So if you are a huge fan of Planet of the Apes and you do not have a dice chucking game such as Elder Sign, Star Trek 5-Year Mission, or even Batman, the animated series Gotham City Under Siege, then this is the kind of game that I would think you would want to take a look at adding to your collection. But I do not think that there is enough new there, which really is only the action cards and the suits, to justify having it and keeping it in the collection. Another complaint that I do have about the game is the board. The board goes lengthwise. You'll notice that on our how to play, if you haven't taken a look at it, down below in the timestamps, you can click and go back. I had to set it up horizontally just to get it on camera. It's really a pain in the butt. So there are some design choices that I don't love about this as well. I really know they don't have too many great things to say about the game. I just found the game to be average. That's why I'm not really singing a lot of praises for it, besides the component quality and the art. I know this is definitely probably a little bit shorter than our regular reviews, but I definitely think you've got a very much a run-of-the-mill dice chucker that is a solid addition to a collection that doesn't have those types of games already. Other than that, this is a completely forgettable experience and something that I would suggest that you skip over. So with that being said, I think I've talked enough about this game. I'm going to give my score of it. I give it a 6 out of 10. It is competently designed, has some new stuff to the genre, well, maybe not new, but has some interesting applications that I haven't seen before, and captures the theme of Planet of the Apes very well. Now, if you can find this at a budget price point like I did, I got this for around the $20 USD mark. Back then, I think that was like $25 Canadian. I think you're going to be happy with your purchase. If you're getting this like full retail price, which I think is closer to the $40 to $50 range, look at something else. Get a game that's more expandable. As far as I know, I believe that IDW Games is still printing this game, but I don't know for how much longer, and there definitely won't be any expansions. So, with that being said now, it's time for me to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when our next video is released. Also, down below in the video description, you can find links to all of our social media feeds. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you want to see pictures of me playing Planet of the Apes. Well, there are plenty of pictures on all of those feeds. Also popping up in front of me, as I mentioned earlier, you will find a link to Star Trek 5-Year Mission, as well as a link to our most recently released video. With that being said, it's time for me to grab my drink. It's time for me to, I normally say grab my best friend, but I'm going to say put the game away, because can't really put the dice away. I don't have any dice out. I'll figure out what my ending spiel is going to be for these solo reveals soon. And I'm going to remind everyone after I take a sip of this to keep playing games.